All right. Barry's gait is unsteady. He is weaving a little as the trajectory of his night has taken its toll. Barry manages to find a seat on the bench downstage left. He places his briefcase at his feet, folds his arms across his chest, and closes his eyes. A few moments pass. Barry falls asleep. A few more moments, then Lewis, itinerant and homeless, enters through the same glass door, pushing the shopping cart. Lewis's shopping cart is overfilled with cans, bottles, and other detritus. The contents are covered by cheap plastic sheeting. Lewis pushes the cart in front of Barry, behind the benches, again past the sleeping Barry. Lewis sits, arms resting along the back edge of the bench's back, turns his head towards sleeping Barry. A few moments pass, a beer can falls from Lewis's cart. Lewis watches in befuddled amusement. The disjointed sounds of the wayward can wake Barry. Barry is still half in the bag, which makes it difficult for him to comprehend the situation. Lewis gets up and walks down center stage to retrieve the treasure. Barry scrutinizes Lewis. Lewis picks the can up, turns to walk back to his cart, and notices a wide-awake Barry.
Sorry, man. This one, I definitely need.
Lewis puts the can back into his cart, then returns to his bench. A few moments pass, Barry begins to snore. Lewis eyes Barry, skulks over, and gingerly attempts to remove Barry's expensive loafers. Lewis removes the right shoe, but as Lewis almost has the left one, Barry wakes.
Son of a bitch.
God, oh, what the fuck?
Barry violently takes the shoe away from Lewis, puts it back on.
Oh, man, that wasn't nice.
Get away from me, you stink.
Barry fakes an aggressive move toward Lewis. Lewis scurries back to his bench.
Yeah, well, you don't smell too rosy yourself. What do you call that shit? Your aftershave.
My cologne?
Yeah, crap you spray yourself with.
Well, if you must know, it's called Bold.
Bold? Huh? Yeah, well, it should be called shit, because that's what it smells like.
Not compared to your fetid carcass. You rotting corpse. My God, man, what was the last time you had contact with water?
What, you mean a bath?
Do I mean a bath?
I don't know. It's been a while.
Yeah. Stayed downwind, I'd consider it a great kindness.
Guys like you never have that problem.
Problem?
Not having a place to clean yourself.
In that regard, I've been fortunate.
You probably have 5 or 6 places to wash up in.
In that regard, I've also been fortunate.
I'd kill for a hot shower. I'd kill him dead.
I have been fortunate.
And you didn't have to just kick me.
You know, you were trying to steal my shoes, hmm?
So what? And what's a pair of shoes to a man like you?
$2,000. That's what a pair of shoes is to a man like me. Now, will you kindly leave me alone?
They sure look good on my feet.
I shudder to think what those feet must look like. Falcon's talons, I suspect. These shoes are handmade Italian calfskin loafers. Corroded pontoons would destroy them in 10 seconds.
Christ. If I had $2,000, I sure as hell wouldn't spend it on a pair of shoes.
I can see that.
You see my shoes here?
Well, Salvation Army, I suspect.
Better than that. Garbage can. A perfectly good pair of steel-toed work boots.
A major find.
They were sitting right on top waiting for me.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
In my world, that's a big score.
Aren't you wearing them on the wrong feet?
Hell yeah. But that's where the genius comes in. When they're too worn down on one side, I reverse them and then wear them down on the other. That way, I double my mileage.
And my resourcefulness.
What the hell does that mean?
Mean?
Was that a dig?
On the contrary.
No, that was a dig. You're putting me down.
Look,
Sure it was. Because I'm poor. That's all you guys know how to do.
I assure you that was not my intent.
I'm only resourceful because I have to be. Assholes like you don't need to worry about shoes.
Your point?
When was the last time you walked on hot cement with no shoes?
I can't say. As a child, perhaps, from the parking lot to the country club pool.
I do it at least a couple of weeks a year when the fucking shoes finally give up and fall off my feet, and I'm forced to walk on scalding cement until the calluses build up enough, which makes it barely tolerable until I can scare up another pair. That's why I wear them this way. You ever had that problem?
Hardly.
Shoe problems are way down the list, aren't they?
Appearance is important in my line of work.
Your line of work?
I'm an investment banker.
Don't you mean you're an asshole?
I don't consider myself an asshole.
Well, you're wearing $2,000 shoes.
Well, that makes me an asshole.
Only an asshole would pay $2,000 for a pair of shoes.
Is this going somewhere?
Instead of paying $2,000 for a pair of shoes, you could wear a $100 pair.
You know, it sounds logical, but in my world, a $100 pair of shoes sends the wrong message.
Hey, you're regular and you might be a real human.
I didn't come here to get the third degree.
No?
No. There's a certain amount of pretension I will grant you.
Barry rubs his temples with both hands. It is clear the night has taken its toll. He pulls his cell phone out of his jacket pocket and begins to fiddle with it.
Checking your traps.
You could say that.
You got some serious shit going on, huh?
Always, I'm afraid.
Me too.
Full dance card, have you?
Hey, I got a lot of things to do. You better believe it. I just don't need some fancy smartphone to get them done. It's all right up here.
Mm-hmm. Panhandling, scrounging, lamenting bad past decision. That's a full day for anybody.
What would I do with a smartphone anyway?
Well, you could text your pals about some hot new dumpster.
Or let my cronies know Willie is moving across town to a new refrigerator box.
That's the spirit. Cronies. Cronies. I like that.
What, you don't think I have cronies?
Of course you do. The pedigrees are just a little different, that's all.
Then what? Man, you're an asshole. I haven't slept indoors in over 2 years.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good time.
One night it was so cold I almost lost 2 toes from frostbite.
You must have loved that.
Lewis is taken aback by Barry's lack of interest as Barry bears down on the keys of his smartphone.
Sometimes you gotta piss yourself just to stay warm.
It sounds like something I might be interested in. You know, life sure is a mystery.
Your mystery or mine? Hey, you sure are a cold bastard.
And you, my friend, are a very lucky. I don't fucking believe this.
Lewis gets up and checks the contents of the shopping cart. He rearranges a few things under the plastic, then sits back down. Barry continues to give his smartphone a workout.
I'm Lewis.
Yeah, we'll see about this.
Bad news?
Nothing I can't handle. Barry.
Looks like you had a hell of a night.
It was all right. Nothing special. Looks like you've had a hell of a life.
Why? Because I don't have a fancy wardrobe? I'm not pretty like you? That's a fucked up thing to say. And how the hell would you know?
I don't know. Your lack of an address might be a clue.
You don't think I have an address?
No, I don't.
Well, in case you didn't know, it's not where you live that counts. It's how you live wherever you're living.
Where did you get that cheesy bromide from? Some great aunt's tea cozy? Touche. I couldn't pretend to know.
Goddamn right you couldn't.
Didn't mean to imply that I was.
You know, I should beat your ass right now.
I don't think that would be in your best interest. You
It might be in mankind's best interest.
don't have to talk to me.
Goddamn right I don't.
Lewis is agitated by this last go-around. He gets up, lifts the black plastic sheeting on his possessions, and furiously rearranges the items, replaces the cover, and sits back down on the bench. Barry takes out his cell phone, hits a few buttons, glowers at the results, and after a long moment, puts his phone back inside his breast pocket. Barry looks up.
So what's it going to be?
What do you mean what's gonna be?
Are you talking to me or not?
The question should be, why would you want to talk to me?
I don't. I'm just trying to be nice.
Nice?
I have a few minutes to kill before my train comes.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to tee off on you. It's just that I'm at loose ends tonight, all right?
I had a crazy night too. Met some clients, had a few drinks. Many drinks.
Doesn't sound too crazy. You have a good time?
I don't know if you'd call it a good time. It was business. I'm afraid I may have imbibed a little too much.
In my world, there's no such thing.
Gathered that.
No such thing as too much drinking.
Get it?
How were the babes?
The babes.
I mean, there had to be babes.
I don't know.
Of course you know.
You?
Who are you? Who you snowing?
What the hell?
I've seen your type before.
My type, huh?
Yeah, slick motherfuckers.
Why would you call me that? I've been called a rake, rounder, or even a roue once, but never a slick motherfucker. I'm sorry, but I don't know what you're talking about.
Quit blowing smoke up my ass. The women, man. Tell me about the women.
You really need to relax.
Come on, man.
What's so important?
As long as we're talking.
Oh, okay. Yes, there were ladies present.
I knew it. Were they hot? They were hot, right? Oh, come on, please tell me they're hot.
I guess you could call them attractive.
Don't you fuck. Did you fuck any of them? Of course you fucked them. You had to fuck them.
I don't think that this conversation's...
Otherwise, what's the point, right?
Barry stares at Lewis for a long moment. Lewis seizes the opportunity.
Hey, man, come on, there's no one here.
Yes, no one's in here. Still, I don't think it's any of your business.
So, you didn't fuck them?
Why does it matter?
It doesn't.
Why would I tell you anything?
Oh, who do I know that could possibly make any difference to you?
You have a point. We hardly reside in the same bailiwick.
I'll trade you.
He offers the bottle to Barry. Barry looks at the bottle for a moment.
Fine.
Barry gets up and walks over to Lewis. He takes the bottle, pulls a handkerchief out from his breast jacket pocket. wipes the mouth of the bottle, then takes a long swig.
Now, spare no details, eh? The juicier the better.
Turpentine. Oof. How do you drink this swill?
You get used to it when you're a degenerate alcoholic.
I said before, I was out with clients, gentlemen who are very wealthy, and because they invest a lot of money with me and my company, I have a duty that goes beyond the fiduciary one I normally have with the client. That is, they expect me to spread a little money around once in a while. The commission I make from their investments. Tonight was one of those nights.
Greasing a few palms.
The way it is. If a client knows you're making a lot of money, they don't relish it too much if you don't show a little reciprocity.
Quid pro quo.
Very good. Quid pro quo. It's bad form if you don't show your gratitude.
Wine and dine and then 69.
Something like that.
So you had sex with these ladies?
With the questions.
Look at me.
Gentleman never kisses and tells. But since I am not a gentleman, at least tonight, I'll be happy to indulge your prurient side a little bit.
Dog, lay it on me, brother. I'm all ears.
I'll lay it on you, but whatever I reveal goes no further than this train station.
I mean, who am I going to tell? Willie's moving across town, remember?
When you travel in the glorified circles I do.
One second.
Louis gets up, fiddles with something under the black plastic sheeting of his shopping cart, and returns to his bench.
Are you finished?
Oh, sorry. I worry. My whole life's in that cart.
It's hard to believe.
What's hard to believe?
That a man's entire existence can be contained and transported in the confines of a shopping cart.
Yeah, everything I own is under that plastic.
I'd love to be so self-contained.
That's a bunch of shit, and you know it.
No, I'm being serious. You have no idea what it's like having so much.
You're fucking with me.
I don't think I am.
Then you do want me. Then why did you kick? You want me to kick your ass?
You don't want to kick my ass, Louis.
I don't.
No, you don't. You're way too interested in finding out more about the mysterious Very Aloysius Mills. My point is, you have the ultimate freedom while I am chained to way too many possibilities.
Pull up a little concrete some night, then talk to me about freedom.
Right. By being so self-contained, don't you see, you clearly have the advantage? Everything is efficient and manageable.
Sleeping outside in a cardboard box with a piece of oiled cloth for a door.
$20,000 mattress and you sleeping in a cardboard box is style, Louis.
I've never had a chance to find out.
You never will. You wouldn't know what to do with a $20,000 mattress. Concrete's more your medium.
What I do know is that I have something in my shopping cart that'll shut your motherfucking mouth. Now I want to split your skull open.
Before you do anything rash, I think I have a legitimate argument. A $20,000 mattress, it's only good for those of us who are capable of appreciating its ineffable qualities.
That's complete bullshit, and you know it.
On the contrary, as you stated earlier, you haven't slept with a roof over your head for over 2 years. If by chance you found yourself tonight suddenly sleeping on a $20,000 mattress, the absurdity of it would be too overwhelming for you. You're too conditioned to deprivation, Louis. After 10 minutes lying on this magnificent 8-foot stretch of sublime heaven, you'd revert to type and be begging for that slab of concrete you referenced earlier.
You're crazy.
No, of course you would. It's men like me who understand what it takes to sleep on a $20,000 mattress. You know what the key is?
Enlighten me.
The key is to expunge the knowledge that men like you exist in the world.
Like me? What's wrong with men like me?
Think about it, Lewis. If I spent the night thinking about things that are contrary to enjoying the qualities of a $20,000 mattress, I'd be doing a disservice not only to the integrity of the mattress, but to my clients as well.
I should kill you right where you're sit.
You're not a killer, Lewis. And I'm not trying to impugn whatever is left of your good name. I'm merely pointing out that only those who have been chosen have the requisite depth and sensitivity to appreciate a $20,000 mattress. It's not a big deal. We're both just prisoners to our destinies. That's all. Lewis, think about it. The absurdity of this situation. In your wildest dreams, did you ever think that you'd be having a conversation with a man as well-bred and accomplished as myself?
Disgusted, Lewis gets up and once again checks under the black sheeting of his shopping cart. Barry eyes him. Lewis notices the scrutiny.
I told you. It's everything I've got.
Looks like OCD to me.
Well, it's not.
I knew a man who would take his wallet out of his pocket at every light and count his money.
I'm not that bad. I just like keeping track, that's all.
You say so. Anyway, it must be nice being able to take inventory of one's life so easily. I'd need a battalion of attorneys and certified public accountants to accomplish that feat, and you can do it with just a cursory glance. You don't know how lucky you are. I'll tell you what. If you'd like to hear about the rest of my might, all you have to do is be a good sport and pass me the bottle.
I thought this rod cut was beneath you.
It is. Sometimes times have changed, so toss it here.
Lewis throws the bottle to Barry. Barry takes a nice long drink. The steady cascade of intake makes him swoon.
Oh, it's no Chateau Lafite, but it's, as the song goes, love the one you're with. This is all you drink?
Does the job.
A job well done.
The alcohol has fortified him. Barry salutes Lewis. He tosses the bottle back to Lewis.
I'm going to tell you a secret, Lewis, and I've not divulged to too many people. Its essence is the secret to my success. You ready? And that secret is entitlement. Entitlement, my boy, that is the key to the equation. You have to believe that everything you want in life you are entitled to, and that everything you are entitled to you deserve. And you cannot give a royal damn what anyone else thinks. See, what I mean is, you must have a personal vision of yourself, yeah? An ideal of how you want to be perceived in the world, n'est-ce pas?
Oh, I get it. You're a rip-off artist.
I am an artist. That is an indisputable fact. And I have not one regret. One, because I deserve not to have any regrets. I am entitled to that for all of the creative sleight of hand I employ to make sure that the client, my client, any client, well, especially that is the clients that I was with tonight, enjoy their entitlement, which they richly deserve, mind you.
You know, I see your lips moving, but I can't hear a motherfucking thing you're saying.
I make money for my clients.
I get it.
You don't get it.
I'm open for a hot stock tip.
You do get it.
What do I have to invest anyways?
That's the problem, Lewis. Making money takes capital.
So did you or did you not fuck any of these women tonight?
You won't let it go, okay? For the record, Lewis, I don't fuck women.
You know.
No. I make love to them.
Lewis is dumbfounded. Barry watches the expression on Lewis's face for a moment, then bursts out laughing.
You kill me, Lewis.
Uh,
Of course I fucked some women tonight.
Yeah?
Lewis, I've had wild nights before. Orgies, three-ways. I even had the rare mother-daughter perfecta, but this one sets new lows of debauchery. What is usually normal for me was transcended tonight by a huge margin in breadth, scope, and perversion.
No bullshit?
Bullshit, Lewis.
They ain't let you do anything you wanted?
Let me do anything I wanted.
You didn't force yourself on any of these women, did you?
That's a question I've never been asked before.
Rape them?
Are you mad? Raped? Women like these don't need to be raped. They're as complicit in their roles as I am in mine.
Whatever you did was okay.
It was okay.
Did you pay any of them?
I never. Paying would only ruin what I have to offer. And what I have to offer is much, much better than being paid. And do you know what I have to offer that is so splendid, Lewis? So coveted in the world that I traffic in?
Why, getting fucked by you for free is better than getting fucked by you for money?
Exactly.
You're the magic man.
Yes, Lewis, I am the magic man. I have the magic, and if you have the magic, the others want it too then. It's very simple. See, these women want what they don't have. And what they don't have is me! Barry Aloysius Mills, a.k.a. Opportunity. I am opportunity. Something you yourself lack in spades.
Yeah, you're crazier than a shithouse rat.
From personal experience, I presume.
Yeah, don't bullshit me. All you did was pump a few loads into those ladies and roll to the wall like the next guy.
I'm afraid it was a little more advanced than that.
You didn't kiss any of them, did you?
Kiss? Whew. That's a very funny question. Not that advanced. Of course I didn't kiss them. The advanced state I was referring to is my extraordinary technique.
Technique? Your style?
Yes, Lewis, style, something of which you are in very short supply.
I get it. You're the golden boy, and I'm a piece of shit you find on the bottom of your shoe.
Are you interested in my technique or not? I've been pioneering it for years. Have you ever heard of Willie Moscone?
The pool player?
Yes, the pool player, Lewis. I am the Willie Moscone of the bedroom. And that is because of the tremendous English I am able to apply to a woman's nether region. A little billiard chalk on the tip of the tongue and...
Wait a minute. You won't kiss these ladies, but you'll bury your face in their lint traps? I don't get it.
You can't believe a man of my caliber could possibly possess sexual abilities far beyond those of your average cave dweller?
No. You sure know how to throw around the bullshit.
It's no bullshit, Lewis. I have the gift.
What gift do you have other than being full of shit?
You know, Lewis, I'd be a little more forthcoming if you'd pass me that bottle.
What's in it for me?
You will get the benefit of my vast scope of knowledge.
That's no deal.
Look at you. Look at me. Who do you believe the smart money is on?
Lewis thinks about it for a moment, then hands the half-filled bottle to Barry. Barry drains it in a few long gulps. Lewis is aghast.
Asshole! It's all gone. That's my blood. You're a goddamn vampire.
Learned.
Lewis bull rushes Barry and wrestles him to the floor. They roll around as Lewis screams bloody murder.
You don't get it! God damn it! I spend so much time alone. Alcohol is the only friend I got.
Barry pushes Lewis off. Barry rises. He is disheveled and attempts to straighten himself up. Lewis lays on the ground in a heap.
Yeah, relax. All right, give me your address and I'll send you a couple of cases. Sorry about that. I didn't mean.
I don't know what their your dirty stick inside of them. You rape those women. You know it, and I know it.
No, Lewis, no, you're wrong. If it's any consolation, they behaved, and I mean this, in all sincerity, exactly as the receptacles they are. Willing receptacles, mind you. I didn't rape anybody. Rape is for losers. When was the last time you pumped a few loads, my good man?
You know, woman.
Lewis struggles to his feet, shuffles over to his cart, and does a quick inventory.
It's a good one, Lewis. Yes. Into a woman.
Whoa, that's gonna take some thinking.
Lewis ponders for a long moment, reaches under the black plastic sheeting of his cart, and takes out a fresh bottle of Tokay. He twists and removes the metal cap.
I thought you were tapped out.
I'm not, but you sure are.
Don't be a piker.
It's my emergency stash.
Lewis takes a huge swig, then walks over to Barry, hands the bottle to Barry. Barry takes a healthy pull, then looks at the label.
Tokay.
4 out of 5 winos recommended.
Can you remember your last encounter? You ever have a mistress?
A mistress? This is my mistress.
Barry gestures for the bottle. Lewis grudgingly tosses it to him. Barry drinks long and hard.
Oh, oof. I once paid $1,000 for a bottle of wine.
Another thing that makes you an asshole.
Speaking, my friend, of the glorious sins of the flesh.
Hell, if I can't remember, but I know for sure it was before I ended. Yeah, it was before I ended up on the streets.
Well, for my money, there is nothing, and I'm covering a lot of ground here. There is nothing more fulfilling than performing as an animal in the purest form, the rutting male, the presenting female. You understand?
Buns up, kneeling.
Very same.
Wheeling and dealing.
You're in encumbered heaven.
How's your wife feel about it?
What wife?
Don't tell me you're not married.
I am not married.
Of course you're married. Guys like you are always married.
Guys like me.
Smart guys who know which side their asses are buttered on.
Your pardon?
I'm sure in your line of work it pays to be married. Yeah, it's part of the package.
What if I was married?
I know you are.
And how, pray tell, do you know that?
It just makes sense. You're a businessman. Investors feel safer giving their money to a man who's married. Wives round out the picture, especially in your line of work. For business reasons, it's better to be married than not.
You got me, Hercule. I am married.
See, I knew it.
You're pretty savvy for a homeless vagrant.
I could be a private detective.
$10 a day plus expenses.
Funny.
Yes. There is a certain cachet that goes along with having a wife. It creates trust in the client.
Trust in the bullshit.
If you think so.
Who you snowing? Bullshit is full money to assholes like you.
Wow, Lewis, I'm impressed.
Is wifey young? Looking at you, she's got to be young. Some sweet arm candy, I bet.
She's attractive.
Nice body. Big tits. Come on, nice body, big tits.
Lewis.
Nice. Yes. Nice body and big tits.
That reeking maw of yours, shut up! I'm telling you for the last time.
I bet she's no receptacle.
But you really need to shut it before I come over there and I shut it for you.
I'll bet she's really freaky too. Likes doing it face to face.
Barry lunges at Lewis and tries to hit him in the face with his fist. Lewis sidesteps him, eluding Barry's advance. Barry is so inebriated he loses his balance and falls to the floor.
Whoa, Chief!
Get your paws, your stinking paws off of me.
Lewis lets go. Barry flops back down, sprawling out. He lays silent for a moment. Barry gets to his knees, forces himself to stand. He's a mess, vainly tries to straightening himself out by raking his fingers through his hair and adjusting his jacket before flopping back down on the bench, breathing heavily as he tries to collect himself. Then Lewis returns to his bench.
So what if I step out a little? It's none of your goddamn business anyway. I'm just exercising my full humanity.
Cheating on your wife is exercising your full humanity.
Men are inherent broadcasters, Lewis. I say that in the strictest sense of the word.
Oh, you're a regular Johnny Appleseed.
Now you're getting it.
You're one magnificent piece of shit. That's for damn sure.
Women, huh? They don't get it. They're believers. Non-believers write their own stories. If you write your own stories, you control the tale. I have an interesting little scenario. Would you like to hear it?
Or your bullshit?
More of a proposition, actually. Lewis, you must take advantage of opportunity when opportunity presents itself.
Like your women.
Lewis.
It's colder than a witch's tit. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay. Say you're an average man living an average life in an average neighborhood. One day, you're at a red light, and who pulls up next to you, for the sake of this proposition, is none other than Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe. She takes one look at you and is overcome with lust. She signals you to follow her to a cheap motel where you and Marilyn have the most amazing sex. Every fantasy you've ever had is fulfilled by this smoking hot cauldron of unbridled desire. Okay? The question is this. What do you do? Do you tell your wife or do you keep it a secret? Do you tell a buddy or do you keep it a secret? Think about it. You got just gotten laid and God knows what else by one of the sexiest women who has ever strode upon the earth.
Well, that's a pretty tough question.
It's not that tough. Remember, you are average in every respect. Looks, income, taste, and one of the sexiest women alive has availed her prodigious all-you-can-eat smorgasbord to you.
So tell me, what's the answer?
There is one answer, and there's one answer only. You must. Shout it from the rooftops! That's what I do. Then get into your average car, you race back to your average home, you pull out a bullhorn, and you announce to the world, I, Mr. Average, just fucked Marilyn Monroe! You tell me that average wife of yours, you tell her every goddamn detail about the encounter, how she almost choked your manhood, how surprisingly tight she still was. And if wifey has a scintilla of pride in her husband, she will do the same. Your better half will get on Facebook and post what just happened to her average husband. She should want to crow about it. You're not going to believe what happened to my Harold today. My Harold got sucked and fucked by Marilyn Monroe. The inevitable comments of disbelief will pour in. It's true, it's true. Can you believe it? Marilyn Monroe, I'm so proud of him. Her Harold. Now, isn't that something a loving wife should be proud of?
Sounds logical, but...
No, Lewis, it's not only logical, it's the only honest human response there can possibly be.
I don't know.
Of course it is. Lewis, I realized wifey would never in a million years embrace her husband's improbable conquest and bask in the glow of this improbable miracle. Hell no, she wouldn't. It's sad, Lewis. It's really sad. Harold will be tarred and feathered like every other husband for even thinking about going to a cheap motel, for even thinking about doing that with anybody other than his wife. Now this is Marilyn Monroe, for crying out loud. What are the odds that Marilyn Monroe would serve herself to any pot-bellied suburban ham and egg on a whim? Huh? You couldn't calculate those odds. He's been eating so much low-grade dog food for so long, a piece of grade A prime falls into his lap. Whoa! And his wife can't see it alone, understand it. She's too selfish, and she's wrapped up in her own pedestrian fantasies to allow her husband to wander off the reservation, even if it meant an otherworldly experience for him, something he only gets to whiff of laying in bed at night, staring at the ceiling for 8 hours. And if Harold did somehow have the cojones to do it, wifey's only possible response would be to divorce him and take him straight to the cleaners. That's my friend. That, my friend, is etched in stone. Now it's up to Harold to defend himself, Lewis. The question becomes, can he? Will Harold be able to lay out a defense that might mitigate this culturally unsanctioned crime?
I don't know. Women don't take that shit too easily.
This is true, but if Harold was smart, and I'd do the same thing, invoke what I like to call the Reasonable Man Act.
What the hell is that?
You've never heard of the Reasonable Man Act?
Sounds like attorney shit to me.
Well, let me enlighten you, my dear, sweet, lovable Lewis. You need to know this, as it is one of the greatest acts there is. Right? If you're a reasonable man, the Reasonable Man Act states that any actions taken by a man in relation to a set of circumstances must be commensurate to those of a reasonable man, as only reasonable men will act in this way. The judge looks to the wife and he says, Mrs. Harold, you are not being reasonable. This is Marilyn Monroe we are talking about, the sexiest woman in the goddamn universe. Your husband only acted as any reasonable man would. This is a grave injustice, Mrs. Harold. I rule in favor of your husband.
Barry's cell phone begins to vibrate rapidly. He takes the phone from inside his jacket pocket, scrutinizes it. Whatever he's reading makes him very angry. Barry's placid, alcohol-induced countenance has been replaced by a severe scowl. Barry jams the phone back into his inside jacket pocket.
Always good news.
No worries.
You got it going on.
I do.
I don't know. You don't look too good.
Crap wine.
Don't batten out my vino. You were loving it 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I admit, even at a non-existent price point, it does possess a certain rapacious quality.
Nectar of the gods. Or Satan, depending on which way the wind is blowing. No, I think you got bigger problems. Whatever keeps buzzing on your phone is really pissing you off.
Small potatoes, just a nuisance lawsuit. Nothing my nightly or highly paid sharks won't be able to make go away.
The answer to everything in America is always attorneys.
Everyone hates attorneys until you need one.
What kind of lawsuit?
Give me the bottle.
Lewis hands the bottle to Barry. Barry drinks with gusto and hands the bottle back.
I am being sued by some bitch I was doing a business deal with. She's claiming I raped her.
I knew it. Oh, you are a rapist.
I'm not a rapist. I'm being sued civilly, not criminally.
What's the difference?
Big difference. She wants money.
Well, did you rape her or not?
Rape is such a nasty word. I prefer to call it making love to a person against their will. Sounds much less grievous, don't you think? No, Your Honor, I did not rape that woman. If anything, I could have possibly mislaid her.
Come on, man. No one's going to believe that shit. You're a rapist. Admit it.
No, Lewis, I'm not a rapist. I'm a businessman. This Woman had a rape fantasy. I merely pretended to rape her. That's what she wanted. She wanted a man to accost her in a park, drag her up to a room in a Fleabag hotel, then penetrate her with his hand over her mouth. Perfection, just like a Swiss watch. 2 days later, I closed the deal.
Maybe you pretend raped her a little too good.
You can't be a good businessman, Lewis, without being a good actor.
So you're saying you didn't rape her?
Not in the classic sense. She's fine. What did I tell you earlier? I told you I am opportunity. The fact that I'm only being sued for money tells you the whole story. The deal was a bonanza for my company. Not so good, I'm afraid, for hers.
And she's suing you.
She's obviously trying to save face. It's what we do in America when things don't go our way. Welcome to my world, Lewis. I have the whole thing on video.
For quality control and training purposes, I'll bet.
You can't be too careful.
Oh, I'd love to see it sometime. The director's cut, of course.
I'm working on the liner notes. I'm right now for the DVD release.
Oh, you're a sick bastard.
A few bucks to go away. It's cheaper than going to court. She'll sign a non-disclosure, and that'll be the end of that. Don't mind. Whew. You're lucky, Lewis. Really, really lucky. Be grateful you don't have to go through the daily sturm and drang of somebody as masterful as myself.
Barry gets up and struts around the stage like he's cock of the walk. His drunkenness has emboldened him. He takes a huge swig and crosses back to his bench.
Thoroughly dreadful, but with an astonishingly wry finish. You know, if we had the right spokesperson, you could sell a ton of this strain remover. See, all you'd need is some strategically placed billboards in skid rows from Bangor to San Bernardino, right? Any hobos out there that you might know who could be the face of this utterly vile swill? 25 to 45 or 54 demo with the devil-may-care attitude of a young Jack Nicholson and the face of Jesus?
Lewis ponders for a long moment, then a sudden illumination. He jumps to his feet.
Right here. Right here, you're looking at him.
You.
Yeah, you gotta admit I'm the real deal.
You are. That is an undeniable fact.
I stink, I sleep in a box, and I look like Jesus.
But as I'm thinking about it now, it would probably be more prudent to cast it. I'm not sure you have the nonchalance it requires.
Who has more nonchalance than a homeless man? Our lives are 100% nonchalance.
This is true, but this needs a nonchalance that is not the product of real life, but the product of Hollywood.
What does that mean?
It means that you are too real. The savage realism you possess in spades, the body odor, the severe halitosis, the caked on pedigrees, it's just too much to sell the product. You lack the subtlety and the it factor, the intangible quality that separates a skid row denizen from a bankable persona. See, this happens all the time. If they make a movie about Jerry Sandusky, who's going to play Jerry Sandusky? Not Jerry Sandusky, that's for sure.
Even though I'm perfect.
Yes, but it's not the right type of perfection. See, what you have is stark realism. Now, this product, it needs a different type of perfection. An actor who can not only convey the blunted effect of a man living on the street, but in addition project likability. Likability is the key. Destitution dripping from every pore is certainly important, but we need a man with a twinkle in his eye, a twinkle that translates into sales. This twinkle makes the point that this broken down excuse for a man doesn't necessarily mind his lot in life, and his choice of beverage underscores it.
That makes no sense. I'm the guy right here.
Lewis, I don't think you're getting what.
And now you're an expert in advertising?
I've been around the block a few times. I know how an advertising campaign works.
Lewis grabs the bottle from Barry, takes a huge swig. Some residual wine drips from the corner of his mouth, and he wipes his mouth on his jacket. turns his head to face the audience, holding the bottle up to the side of his face, giving a very exaggerated wink as if he's the model on a billboard.
Yes, that's the look. Lewis, this is nothing personal.
You don't have the rights to this rock cut.
Who needs rights? We concoct our own. We invent our own brand. Oh, what do you think of the name, let's see, Last Call? Last call to order at the end of the night. Last call to find a place to flop. Last call before freezing to death. Huh? It's a natural. If things go well, we can eventually make it cool and sell it to hipsters. Remove the taint of desperation by repositioning the product for consumption by people who love the conceptual freedom of homelessness, but have no interest in its bitter aftertaste. It's all about appearances, Lewis. Commercial life has nothing to do with what's going on inside. The emaciated prisoner of war doesn't need counseling after he's freed. He just needs a good tailor.
You're an arrogant fucking prick. You know that?
That may indeed be true, but it's a quality, not a hindrance from which I came from.
How do you get away with it?
Get away with what?
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I don't have a clue what you mean.
Sure you do.
I get away with it, Lewis, because this is what I am.
And what is that?
You know exactly what it is. Especially you. Lewis, it's just not your time. The meek shall not inherit the earth anytime soon.
How come you don't ask me about my story?
It's not my disposition. What you bring to the table and what I bring have about as much relation to each other as oil does to a brick. Don't think for a moment you can relate to me on any level.
Are we really so far apart?
Have you looked in a mirror lately?
Aside from my appearance, what separates us?
Oh, I don't know. 1,000 things, but I'll start with 3. You're lazy. You have low self-esteem. You gave up.
And that makes you better than me.
Is that a joke? Must be a joke. Don't be silly, Lewis. Of course it does. You have absolutely no interest in righting the ship.
Lewis becomes maudlin and misty-eyed. He takes a healthy pull from the bottle.
It's fucking entitled assholes like you who rule the world.
Lewis, we're entitled for a very good reason.
Well, give me a goddamn bottle.
It can't. It's completely counter to my natural state.
Being a decent person.
At this point, giving the bottle back would not be in my best interest.
But it's my wine.
In most situations, I would agree, but I've grown fond of this quirky vintage. I want more. Giving it back to you would have the opposite effect.
Lewis lunges for the bottle. Barry sidesteps him, and Lewis falls to the ground flat on his back. After a moment, he slowly staggers to his feet.
You have no right.
I know, but you already knew that.
Give me a bottle.
No can do.
Barry drains what's left. He begins to dance around with the empty bottle as if he's won a prize.
Wine is all I got.
Don't worry, Lewis. When last call hits, I'll hire you to work in quality control. I can see the billboards now. When I'm on Skid Row, nothing greases the skids like last call.
Lewis wrestles the empty bottle from Barry.
I can do it. Watch.
Lewis crosses down to center stage. A spotlight highlights him. He holds the bottle close to his ravaged face.
When I'm on Skid Row, nothing greases the skids like last call.
Lewis holds his expression like he's doing a live commercial, but his alcohol consumption has made him very unsteady.
Thank you. Next. Don't quit your day job.
Lewis ignores Barry. He crosses to his shopping cart, checks the content under the plastic sheeting, then sits back down on his bench.
You know, I'm happy living on the streets.
You should be. It's steady. Lewis, I like you. I really do. But you're a failure at the most basic level.
How come you won't ask me how I got here?
Because deep down, I really, really don't care. Although, if maybe you had another bottle of that fine elixir, I could feign a little interest.
Lewis gets up, goes to his cart, and extracts a fresh bottle of Tokay. Cracks it open, walks over to Barry, hands it to him, then returns to his bench. Barry drinks. After several continuous swigs, he turns to the audience in all unctuous glory.
When I'm on Skid Row, nothing greases the skids like last call.
Barry smiles, holds the pose for a moment as if it's a freeze frame, then relaxes.
That's how you do it. Likability. It's gonna clean up.
Barry stares into space, contemplating future riches. After a long moment, he emerges from his reverie.
It had better be interesting, Lewis, or is it in need of a major polish like most people's?
Lewis takes the bottle from Barry and drinks. He's so drunk, most of the wine misses his mouth, cascading to the floor.
Fuck you. I keep forgetting how great you are.
Sorry. Go on. You have the floor.
You're drinking my wine, goddammit. It's time you shut up. You're not the only one that has a story to tell.
All right. Okay.
We don't all fall out of golden snatches.
My mother's was pretty precious, a 24 karat.
Well, mine wasn't. My mother was a whore. She blew guys for a living. You want to talk about steady work? My father was one of her regulars. He knocked her up, but she didn't tell him he was my father till years later. And then he found out I was his son. What did he do? He beat my mother for lying to him. Then, when I was old enough, he started beating me. One day, the asshole drops dead of a heart attack. It was a miracle. At the funeral, my mother finally got a little payback. She blew all the pallbearers. Don't worry. She didn't blow all of the pallbearers. I'm just fucking around.
You had me there for a second.
Believe it or not, I went to college. Yeah, paid for it myself. Drove a truck, sold vacuum cleaners, was a night watchman, a mall cop for a few months, parked cars, and I got a degree. After that, I was feeling so good about myself. I got a master's.
I'm astonished. A master's in what?
Business. Technically, we're colleagues.
Unbelievable. The juxtaposition is overwhelming.
Lewis passes the bottle to Barry. Barry takes a swig, hands the bottle back to Lewis. Lewis swigs.
Yeah, well, shit happens.
Sure, shit happens, but most people don't end up in the street homeless.
What do you know? You had it covered the minute your head first appeared out of your mama's shining void. You're nothing but a prick with benefits. That's the trouble with privileged assholes like yourself. You think it only happens to other people. You're as vile as they come.
Of course I'm vile. It goes with the privilege. Now, will you please get to the juicy part where everything goes off the rails?
You know, I let you drink my wine for what? You're nothing but a 5-star cunt.
I trust 5 stars as your highest rating. I thought we were pals.
Get on a fucking train and go back to your wife. Tell her about the horrors you missed late tonight. See how that plays in Bedford.
What's it to you? You don't know my wife.
I don't need to know your wife. I know that no wife likes the man she's married to fuck strangers behind her back. Then again, maybe that's her thing. Suddenly you're so righteous. I feel so sorry for you. No love for Barry. exercising his full humanity.
Damn right.
Do you have a boss?
I'm the boss.
Oh, would you work for an asshole like yourself?
I already told you the answer, Lewis. I am opportunity.
Every boss I ever had, I wanted to kill.
Can't get along with anyone, can you?
I worked for the same company for 15 years. I was married. I was making pretty good dough. One day, my boss, he calls me into the office and asks me to lie under oath.
Yeah.
Just like that. The company just got charged with securities fraud. He was testing my loyalty.
Were you loyal, Lewis?
I lied. Not to save their asses, I lied to protect my own.
It's not lying, Lewis. It's business.
Lewis takes a big swig and offers the bottle to Barry. Barry takes the bottle and indulges heartily.
See, people don't understand. Business, it's never black and white. It's always gray. And if you don't like gray, then get the fuck out. If you don't like gray, get the fuck out. If you don't like gray, get the fuck out.
6 months later, I was let go.
Unfortunately, that's business too.
I was let go by a cocksucker just like you.
Just like me.
This guy was one slick son of a bitch. Shit didn't stink, but holding to no one. He looked me right in the eye and told me we were having a parting of ways. That it was nothing personal, just a downsizing measure dictated by the board of directors. They appreciated my service, and if I needed a letter of recommendation, just ask. I lied under oath for these assholes, and this is what I get. 2 weeks later, my wife files for divorce, takes me right to the cleaners. I'm wiped out, but I no longer cared. After 6 months of collecting unemployment and faking that I was looking for work, I lost all interest in making money. I was free. Forgot about having a career. Didn't see any need for it. It was then I took up the greatest activity for anyone who no longer gave a shit. And that was not giving a shit. I mean, it was very easy and free. And then I hit the road to find out if there was anything out there that made any sense. Maybe I could find out what America was all about. But every town I came to made me sad. There's nothing going on in any of them. People just standing around jingling their change, nobody doing anything worthwhile, and then it hit me. This country's one giant goddamn waiting room.
Lewis pulls out a wallet from his back pocket. The wallet is a zippered affair attached to a chain, attached to a belt loop.
You have a wallet?
I do. This wallet contains a document more precious than the Magna Carta.
That covers a lot of territory.
Lewis unzips the wallet, removes a folded piece of paper.
Your will?
A poem by Joseph Isaac Sinclair.
Never heard of him. Now you're going to read him to me?
Joseph Isaac Sinclair was the pen name of a guy I worked with. Bruce McGillicuddy was his real name. He was a brilliant hedge fund manager, but deep down he really wanted to be a poet. He never told a soul because it wasn't a cool thing if you were in the financial world. And I never knew of his artistic aspirations until the day he was laid off. On his way out of the building, he walked by me holding a cardboard box full of his shit, and he handed it to me. And all he said was, "Here."
Not even the picture of the girl the wallet came with? Nothing except a lousy poem.
It means a lot to me. I don't want to lose it. Come on, you might like it.
Fine, I'll play along. Go.
The Cordage by Joseph Isaac Sinclair. The old whore, with her tits down to her knees, drained of all sustenance, there was nothing she wouldn't do if you knew how to ask. Fucked or be fucked until all that was left in the pine box that rolled down the street was the discarded remains of once youthful dream.
I got one for you.
It wasn't finished.
There once was a man from Nantucket whose dick was so long he could suck it. He said with a grin as he wiped off his chin, "If my ear was a cunt, I could fuck it." God, I love poetry. What happened to your buddy?
Now, 2 weeks later, 2 weeks after he was let go, he dropped dead. The stress killed him.
This is your answer, pushing around a shopping cart all day.
If I could spend eternity in a bathtub full of my own dreams, I would.
Forgotten, Lewis, that you don't own a bathtub?
I didn't think you'd understand.
No dope, Lewis. I get it. The whore is America. But your friend was wrong, dead wrong. This country still has the most beautiful cunt in the free world. It is rife with opportunity. And I intend on fucking that cunt until Barry Aloysius Mills can no longer fuck! America is my best girl, Lewis. These are the musings of a silly man. The world, Lewis, is filled with silly men. Men led around by an inevitability they never see.
Shut up and give me the goddamn bottle! Filled with sad asses sitting on the stoop waiting for the Grim Reaper to bring them their last chance.
Hopefully a last case of last call. Here's a little secret for you, Lewis. Hey, the world only ends when there's no money left to be made.
One time I was rooting around in a garbage can looking for something to eat and found a leather-bound dissertation by someone named Walter P. Gerlach. I couldn't help but thinking, what would possess someone to throw away their dissertation like it was used coffee grounds or broken eggshells? It was sad. Maybe it wasn't Gerlach. Maybe it was Gerlach's mother or his ex-wife. A guy pours his life into something, and the best he can hope for is that it doesn't end up in the garbage. Anyway, according to the title page, Gerlach was a doctoral candidate in economics. His dissertation was entitled "The Commodification of Destiny." What the hell did that mean? I was intrigued. I took it back to my box and I read that son of a bitch from cover to cover. I don't know whatever happened to Walter P. Gerlach, whether or not he ever got his doctorate or even if he's still alive, but the essence of what was in those pages has never left me. Oh. Gerlach had two great insights I'll never forget. First, that all life is business. Every moment we are conscious is a negotiation. Should I go here? Should I go there? Should I buy this or should I buy that? We are either negotiating or making deals one way or the other every waking moment. Second is what Gerlach called the relative dream law. Oh man, I love this one. The relative dream law states that the grandiosity of dreams becomes inversely proportionate for every year we are alive. For example, when you're 20, your dream is to become the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. When you're 60, the dream is to have a solid bowel movement. Now, the rest of Gerlach's paper was academic filler, and I hope he got his doctorate, though. Success in America is all about having credentials. Without them, you're nothing. I'd like to make a toast to all the credentialed assholes in the world, and especially mine.
At this very moment, Lewis Walter P. Gerlach is working a shotgun trigger with his big toe.
Fuck you.
Explain to me. Why would you live this kind of life when it is eminently clear you didn't have to?
I chose the streets as a bulwark against cocksuckers like you.
Work, nice. Yeah.
When I got let go, my boss asked me if I had any last words. I said, yeah. I looked him right in the eye. And I'll keep it brief. Fuck you.
Shit, you said that.
No. My conditioning wouldn't let me. Even though I knew it was over in the back of my mind, I still didn't want to burn a bridge. It was really pathetic when you think about it.
You did the smart thing.
As I was staring into his blank face, I realized all you really needed to live was an open mind, and this thing called existence was more than consuming and making garbage. That pleasure and happiness, or whatever you want to call it, could be had with no money down. But cocksuckers like you refuse to believe it because it's not in your best interest. You still don't get it, do you?
I do get it. You're playing the homeless vagrant and I'm playing the cocksucker.
Yeah, tell me something. I really like to know. How do you reconcile your life?
It's not too difficult with a Napoleon brandy in your hand.
That's it. That's your answer?
I said before, Lewis, for most people, it's better to be lucky than good. But to be lucky and good, that's one hell of a combination.
What about your philandering? How do you reconcile that?
It's all philandering, you ass. You don't think my wife knows what side her cosmetically cantilevered ass is buttered on? She gets exactly what's coming to her, and I get exactly what's coming to me. Quid pro quo.
I'd rather eat a mile of my own shit than get near any of that poison you call entitlement. My homelessness is more authentic than anything you've ever accomplished.
Barry ignores Lewis's statement. He's entranced by what's on his phone screen.
Small pleasures. Small pleasures are the key. For me, one of life's great small pleasures is the incredible rye bread at Goldstein's Delicatessen. You ever have any?
Barry shakes his head, drains the rest of the wine, gets up, and walks upstage center to the window overlooking the tracks. Lewis walks downstage center. He is suddenly energized by this memory.
Thick and dense with seeds. Caraway seeds. Whoever decided that rye bread without the seeds, decided to make rye bread without seeds should be shot. All right, rye bread has to have seeds. If you toast Goldstein's rye bread, that is when it achieves its greatness. It stays warm for 15 minutes. Doesn't immediately get cold. The curse of eating rye bread, the butter melts, becoming a river of goodness that winds deep into the crevices of the rye. Then you take a bite and suddenly, and there's Grandma standing by the stove in her apron stirring a big pot of mushroom barley soup. That's how good this bread is. Or if you're lucky, maybe you can have it with some Hebrew national hard salami. Hard salami. All right, not the soft stuff. All right, this is salami that has been hanging on a hook for at least 5 weeks so that most of the water in the fat is evaporated. There's just enough moisture left so that when you slice it, the salami retains a chewiness and texture that satisfies the most basic primal taste.
Barry turns back from the window and walks slowly downstage to his bench. He sits slumped over with his head down.
Now, if you're ever in Cleveland, Ohio, I was on the streets there for a while, get a bottle of Workman's Stadium mustard. They only make it in Cleveland. Workman's Stadium mustard, don't get a knockoff, all right? It's gotta be Workman's. The beauty of Workman's is its strong brown mustard base that is complemented by a beautiful horseradish finish. Then if you want to reach a state of nirvana not too many wasps ever achieve, cap the experience off with a Dr. Brown's Diet Black Cherry Soda. Dr. Brown's sold at fine delicatessens everywhere. I dream about it all the time. Once in a while, a busboy I know at Goldstein's will hook me up with some unfinished Hebrew national hard salami sandwich ends. Oh, pure heaven. If that isn't Gerlach's relative dream law, I don't know what is. Hey, what's going on?
Barry's head is still down. He remains silent. Lewis removes the smartphone from his hand and reads what's on the screen.
What the fuck? That woman you claimed you pretended to rape is dead? How can that be? There was no business deal. There was no fantasy. You raped and beat the fuck out of this woman, and now she's dead.
There was a business deal.
You have a dead girl on your hands.
No, about cracking open another bottle, would you, pal?
We drank 3. I don't have any more.
Barry gets up and walks slowly over to Lewis's cart. He lifts the tarp. Lewis rushes over to Barry and guides him back to his bench.
I told you I'm tapped out.
Did I mention that once last call rolls out, not only am I going to hire you to work in quality control, I am also going to make you head of the division?
Shut the fuck up. All right, you're getting way ahead of yourself. What are you going to do?
About what?
Hey, focus, Barry. All right, you killed a woman. I don't know how, but it seems you did.
It's a hoax. This bitch has had it out for me ever since the deal went south.
Oh, so she died to spite you? Barry, get a grip, all right? This is murder.
Call my attorneys. It'll be all right. I'm entitled. Remember?
Entitled to a life in prison.
Vindictive.
No one dies out of spite. You're losing it.
Heck, you'll see. Hey, I know you have more wine. Well, let's drink.
There's no more wine.
Lewis slaps Barry hard across the face. He straightens.
What the hell happened? Barry!
A lot of drinking, sex. I already told you the story.
Did you have a deal with this woman or not?
She thought we did, yes, sort of. I was playing her. She had a tight ass, and I wanted a piece of it. Part of the Barry Aloysius Mills entitlement program. You get it?
I get it. You're nuts. All right, then what?
She made no bones about being in a rough play. I said, that's right up my alley, and I accommodated her. In retrospect, it might have been a teensy-weensy too aggressive.
Teensy-weensy too aggressive? The woman's dead, for Christ's sake.
Barry finally realizes the gravity of the situation. He puts his head in his hands, then after a moment looks up.
What am I going to do?
This is bad.
This doesn't happen to men like me.
Men like you. See, that's a problem with the world. Men exactly like you. All right, that's why I dropped out. The mystery was good enough.
The end of Very Aloysius Mills? I'm going to the gas chamber, aren't I? This can't be. I'm the system.
You poor, stupid son of a bitch.
Barry hangs his head. He is despondent, begins to whimper, and after a long moment suddenly erupts.
Wine! We need more wine!
Barry rushes to Lewis's cart. He rips the plastic sheeting away and rifles through the contents. Seeing something at the bottom of the cart, he reaches into it.
Now, what do we have here?
Barry pulls out a pistol and slowly examines it.
Amazing. You never know from where a solution to a problem will suddenly appear. Where did you get it?
I found it in a dumpster.
Is it loaded?
It's rough out there. A guy will slit your throat for a pair of shoelaces. How about giving it back?
I don't think that would be in my best interest.
Barry puts the muzzle of the gun squarely against his right temple.
Are you going to blow your brains out?
Now that might be in my best interest.
But not in the best interest of justice.
For what? Bad piece of tail? I should have sent it back like I do when I have a tough fillet at Peter Luger's.
Barry starts prowling around the stage with the gun pressed against his temple. He's walking a weird herky-jerky manic style, and Lewis watches him closely.
Give me the gun, Barry. You don't want to do this.
You're probably right.
Barry slowly lowers the gun. Lewis advances towards Barry and reaches for the gun. Suddenly, Barry grabs Lewis's right wrist with his left hand and spins him, so he is behind Lewis, and the gun is pressed flush to Lewis's right temple.
Bet you never saw that coming.
Oh, you're a strange bird.
No, Lewis, I'm a coward, but at a minimum, it'll be a live one. It's beautiful. See, no one's here. I squeeze the revolver, ventilate your skull, and just walk out. Who's going to connect me to a senseless killing of a homeless vagrant?
No one. But it still leaves you with the problem of the girl you beat to death.
Yes, that won't go away. I could kill you, then myself. Then everything is tied up, nice and tight. Don't worry, I may be a cocksucker, but I do know that what side my ass is buttered on. I couldn't do that to you, Lewis. You shared your wine with me.
Barry releases Lewis by violently throwing him to the ground. A wild look comes over his face. He places the barrel of the gun firmly against his right temple. Lewis regains his footing.
Barry, give me the gun.
I saw this play, The Best Illusion. You ever hear of it?
I don't get to see too many plays.
If you want my opinion, all in all, not a bad night in the theater. The play concerns the last 90 minutes of a very sick old man's life in real time. It takes place in a hospital room. For 90 minutes, we watch this dying old man trying mightily to justify, as we find out along the way, a less than righteous life. For all of the success he attained as a businessman, he was an asshole of the highest order, a repugnant, repressive, and reprehensible human being, even as the specter of death is descending. And just before the last drop of life vacates his shriveled carcass, this old man was still knee-deep in his own bullshit, hoping to convince himself at all costs that his life was indeed a noble one. Do you think this is what happens at the end?
The lies we tell ourselves, even down to the latest possible second.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm not there yet. I'm still writing my big finish.
I am, Lewis.
You ready to confess?
Way too late for that. But I think I have a satisfying ending to the story.
I'm all ears.
Sure, I'm vile. But what was that bitch bringing to the table anyway? She was climbing the ladder like everyone else and just happened to miss a rung. We put too much value on human life. Most people spend their whole lives sitting around watching TV until someone tells them to turn it off. She wanted something. I gave it to her, and I'm sorry it didn't work out. I shouldn't feel guilty. Sometimes death is the cost of doing business.
Wow. You won't give up.
What can I say? I'm a prisoner to my DNA, just like everyone else.
I guess you have your answer then.
Lewis, in order to determine if any business deal is worth doing, basic business practice dictates that a cost-benefit analysis must be done first. Due diligence, business 101.
Okay.
To compare the anticipated costs of the deal with its potential benefits.
I'm missing something.
Anticipated costs with the potential benefits of me blowing my brains out.
You're serious?
Gerlach, remember? All life is business. Every waking moment is a negotiation. So tell me, Lewis, what would be the anticipated cost with the potential benefit of me blowing my brains out?
The cost would be your death.
Correct. I would be dead. And?
The benefit would be your admission of guilt.
My admission of guilt. And?
It would be a fair deal for all parties.
Yes, Lewis, it would be a fair deal for all parties.
No, you're being a nice guy. I mean, what happened to bury the shark?
It's a good deal, Lewis.
It's a good deal, but is it a great deal?
Considering the circumstances, I would say yes, it's a great deal.
But what about the family? Right, they get no restitution if you kill yourself. You'll be depriving them of the only thing that might let them go, seeing you fry. I know the woman has no leverage. She's already cut her deal. She's dead.
Maybe you're right. It's only a good deal.
You're the man, Barry.
I am the man. You can see that, can't you, Lewis?
No, it's never been clear.
Barry begins to slowly prowl the stage. Lewis watches him closely. Barry's movements become more aggressive and exaggerated. After a few circuits, Barry suddenly stops his tracks downstage center, turns towards Lewis. He is hyperventilating.
What the hell happened? How did it get to this? I was perfect, absolutely perfect. You have to know this, Lewis. The world was always bullish on Barry Aloysius Mills. Always. There was never one day, never one moment in my entire life when I did not have a buy rating. You're looking at a 100% state-of-the-art golden child. A golden child his mother would have gladly married if only he had asked.
Lewis stares. Barry stares back with a deranged look and begins circling the stage once again in a strange strutting style, his gait becoming faster and faster, more extreme and determined. Barry stops suddenly downstage and puts the barrel of the gun firmly against his temple.
Lewis! Does the end justify the means? I will ask again, Lewis. Does the end justify the means?
Lewis is paralyzed with fear, and then a strange calm comes over Barry. They lock eyes. After a long moment,
See you on the other side.
Barry pulls the trigger. A tiny flame appears at the end of the barrel. Releasing the trigger and pulls it again. Another tiny flame appears. It is not a gun. It is a lighter. Outraged, Barry rushes Lewis, driving him to the floor. He shoves the barrel of the gun into Lewis's face, pulling the trigger repeatedly and the flame appearing. Lewis cackles in his face.
You dirty, rotten, stinking son of a bitch.
Lewis is still on his back. He continues to laugh. Barry heaves the gun lighter at Lewis, barely missing him. Barry sits down on the bench in a bedraggled heap, beginning to sob. Lewis watches him cry.
You didn't think you'd get off that easy, did you, you prick?
After a moment, Barry climbs slowly to his feet, walking slowly towards the shopping cart. Barry passes the cart and violently pulls it down, spilling everything on the floor.
That was the move of a true asshole.
Barry staggers upstage toward the men's room, violently pulls open the door, goes inside. Lewis gets up, retrieving the lighter, sitting on his bench. pulling out a half-smoked cigar. Lewis lights the cigar, takes a few leisurely puffs, basking in the glow of Barry's ignominious end. He turns towards the men's room. Lewis throws the lighter towards the men's room.
And you can keep the lighter.
Gets up, rights his cart, begins to gather his possessions. Little by little, he puts the items back into the cart.
Oh, the look on your face when you pulled the trigger and nothing came out except that tiny little flame. Oh, God, I will never forget it. I bet that's the first thing you ever failed at.
Lewis picks up a bowling trophy, raises it over its head as if he's just won a tournament. He kisses the trophy.
We're in Ohio, you rock!
Lewis puts the trophy back into his cart, picks up a pair of sunglasses. He puts them on while walking back to his cart and turning downstage.
Who's that destitute homeless vagrant in the Forest Grants? Why it's me, Lewis Ivan Kramer. You know, asshole, I couldn't have done that fucking commercial.
Lewis throws the glasses into the cart. A woman's wig lies on the floor. He picks it up and puts it on. Grabbing the bowling trophy, he turns downstage. His body language is that of a young woman.
I want to thank my agent, Sidney Rubin, my producers, Skip Jordan, and my parents for always believing in me.
Lewis thrusts his hand holding the trophy into the air. Inside the men's room, we hear the sounds of Barry bellowing. This is coupled with the sound of breaking fixtures. Lewis turns towards the tumult. After a long moment, the sounds subside and silence fills the void. Just as he makes an initial move towards the men's room door, Barry emerges. He's no longer worse for wear. He is sharp as ever. Hair combed perfectly, stone cold sober. Barry looks exactly like the slick operator all along. Barry stands under the light above the men's room door as if it was put there to spotlight this business giant. Lewis removes the wig and stares at Barry as he preens. A light from the approaching train can be seen in the distance. It gets incrementally larger and closer. The faint sounds of the train engine can be heard, and that sound too becomes louder and louder as the train approaches.
So,
I'll keep my comments brief. Fuck you.
that's spirit. Not bad, wouldn't you say?
Not bad for a repugnant, reprehensible human being.
Aren't you going to wish me luck?
How about wishing me a little luck?
Luck is not in your DNA, Lewis.
I have to admit, when I first got into this, I was expecting a lot more out of reality.
That's the problem, Lewis. Reality has no remorse, and for that I almost feel sorry for you.
Almost.
Barry Aloysius Mills, B.A.M. BAM! You know I'm going all the way.
Never doubted it for a minute.
Barry picks up his attaché case in his left hand and walks upstage right to the door marked to Bedford. He turns towards Lewis.
I'm the system.
Knew it the moment I laid eyes on you. You're its essence, Barry Aloysius Mills.
And you also know there's nothing you or anyone else can do about it?
I know that.
It's a shame, Lewis. You're just not up to it.
Up to taking you down?
Yes, up to taking me down.
Why? Because I'm complicit?
Let's just say that I couldn't have done it without you.
No, Barry. I guess you could.
And you couldn't have done it without me. I mean that. Sincerely.
Barry winks at Lewis and, forming a gun with his right hand, pantomimes shooting it at Lewis. Barry turns and exits. Lewis retrieves the last few items from the floor and stows them in his cart and puts the sheet back over the top. Turns the cart upstage to get a final look at Barry going to the train. Lewis watches Barry's train as it pulls away, takes the wallet out from his back pocket, unzips it, and removes the folded paper. Lewis carefully clears his throat, ready to recite.
For you, Bruce. The old whore with her tits down to her knees, drained of all sustenance. There was nothing she wouldn't do if you knew how to ask. Fucked or be fucked until all that was left in the pine box that rolled down the street was the desiccated remains of a once youthful dream. There was a time she had it all. Big tits, great legs, plenty of ass to go around, and she could shake that shit like nobody's business. Easy to like, always willing, hypnotic, drawing you in with a look that only meant one thing: everything was for sale. For years, business was good, too good, and she became fat, overconfident, and full of herself, which hastened her undoing. Now she spends her days on her back, legs spread wide, the glen of sublime gold now a garbage dump with no takers, her mouth overflowing instead with the dirty wisdom of the masses.
Lewis carefully refolds the paper, returning it to his wallet and putting it in his back pocket, turns his cart and heads toward the train station door downstage left. Just as Lewis reaches the door, another traveler opens it, carrying a duffel bag, giving Lewis a disapproving look. Lewis opens the train station door. A gust of icy wind rips right through him. He covers his exposed neck with his hand before buttoning his CPO jacket. Lewis looks up into the night and after a few seconds pushes his cart out into the snowy cold. The train station door closes. The station lights dim. Curtain.